My name is Danny Underwood. I've been an electrician for 20 years, both in commercial and residential, and I'm the branch manager at Rytech Electric. This is a good list of things that homeowners can check before calling an electrician and potentially having an unnecessary bill just to reset a breaker or something easy. It's an easy thing to overlook that your device or lamp, whatever it is you're trying to troubleshoot, is just not plugged in. Dogs can knock it loose, kids can knock it loose. So it's a good first step in trying to figure out why something's not working. It's just to make sure it's plugged in. So in a lot of residential areas, bedrooms, living rooms, the easiest way for a builder to provide light for that room is to provide what's called a half-hot switch. And that's a switch that's half of it's constantly on, half of it is switched. It's an easy thing to overlook that one of your outlets in your rooms is controlled by a switch, and not a lot of people realize that. So checking to make sure that the outlet you're plugged into is not controlled by a switch is an easy thing to overlook. I've done it in my own home where you're trying to figure out why something's not working, and lo and behold, it's tied to a switch. GFCI outlets are the outlet you see that has the little reset buttons on it, and it can control multiple outlets downstream from it. And that's another easy thing to overlook, because you think your outlet's not working, when in reality it's tied to a GFCI outlet that could be located in your bathroom, your garage, even a basement if you have one. So that's another easy thing to check, is to make sure you know where all your GFCI outlets are and that they're functioning properly. There's a reset and a test switch on those particular outlets, and you can always hit the reset button and see if it trips, and if it does, it was probably on in the first place, and then you just go ahead and hit the reset button. Sometimes they can be a little stiff, so you have to use a little bit of force sometimes to get those to engage properly, but it's easy enough to check before you call an electrician. It's very important to check that your appliances are in good working order. The cords themselves can get frayed, and if that's the case, it can cause somebody to get shocked or seriously injured if there is a faulty appliance. Typically it has to do with the cord, but yeah, checking those frequently is important. There's all kinds of ways that cords can get damaged, being under beds, or once again, kids and dogs wreak havoc on appliances and their cords. So making sure they're in good working order can prevent potential life safety issues. Checking your panel to make sure breakers are not tripped is important. Typically when a breaker trips, it'll go to the middle position between on and off, and then all you'd have to do is switch it to the off position so that you can reset it to the on position. A lot of the times, older breakers, when they trip, they will stay in the on position. So I like to tell people to run their fingers along the back side of the breaker to make sure that none of them are stuck in the on position, because that can be really easily overlooked. And typically when you run your finger along the back side of it, it'll jump to that trip position if it is in fact tripped. And then all you have to do is switch it off, and then it'll reset back on. Unplugging all the appliances or anything that's plugged into a circuit that has tripped is important, because it could be the appliance that's causing it to trip. And it could also cause an inrush when you try to reset it if everything's still plugged in, and it might just keep tripping. But a good thing to do would be to unplug all the appliances to that circuit, so you can go back and slowly plug one thing in at a time, and that'll kind of help with the troubleshooting process of what might be tripping that breaker. If you have an old antique lamp, is a good one that I've come across a lot, where generations hand down these Tiffany lamps and they're causing arc fault breakers to trip because they're just not up to code. So unplugging everything, plugging it back in one by one could possibly give you a good clue as to what's tripping that breaker. If you're still having problems, I always suggest contacting an electrician you trust. That is one thing I do believe in social media for, is you can weed out the good electricians from the bad simply by reading reviews. And asking your neighbors who's worked for them in the past, but definitely getting a hold of an electrician you trust would be the next step to figuring out what the problem is.